attractive people are usually isolated and lonely.
Gen Z, the Generation Z, are so lonely they're posting friendship applications on Facebook.
I've been single my entire life. I'm going to be turning 42 in August, and I've never had anybody love me.
Apparently, modern women are lonely because they can't find friends or relationships.
Being a single woman in your 30s can definitely be looked at as a failure, but let me tell you why it's not.
Can we normalize that it's okay to be 30 and older and not have kids, not be married, and to be single?
I am miserable.
Gen Z loneliness is on the rise as well. Finding relationships is near impossible. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it is our sole form of support. Thank you.
You know what else I'd love to normalize? Is being single.
I turned 30 this year and I haven't been in a relationship in 7 years, and here's why I don't care and I'm not worried about it.
Gen Z needs to be way more forthcoming about how lonely we are, because I am extremely freaking lonely. I am spending Saturday night alone again. And I don't get it. I'm young, I'm pleasant, I'm friendly, I have big hair, I'm a wing woman, okay? Everyone just doesn't want to make eye contact with each other. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Nobody to call, nobody to text. Like, nobody like that. I feel so alone. Like, I always just feel so alone. I just want to, like, feel special as somebody. Like, I just want to feel loved, but I can never feel loved. I feel so alone. I'm so over it. I'm so over it.
This is the loneliness in most modern women today. They crave a deep intimacy and love from men, but they just feel so deserted by everyone. Some of them try and stay strong until they break. Then they turn to TikTok to record themselves crying. Truthfully, this is how some men's lives look as well, but they do it behind closed doors. The difference is, no one gives a damn about that. Men too long for meaningful connections, but they're often conditioned to suppress these desires, as if vulnerability and emotional needs are weaknesses rather than natural human experiences.
So this last year, my body count went from 1, the only guy I'd ever been with, to 110. 110 in just a year. I think that's pretty impressive. You know what that means? I had to talk to 110 different people this year. That's a lot of conversations.
You need help.
Being a single woman in your 30s can definitely be looked at as a failure, but let me tell you why it's not. Yes, my 20s were amazing. I had lots of fun. I was young, hot, not a care in the world, right? Now I'm in my early 30s. I'm much wiser. I believe I have emotional intelligence about my money, super self-aware. I have patience, financial stability. I know what my boundaries are and how to set them. I mean, overall, being in my 30s is great, but also being single and being able to do whatever the fuck I want without having to worry if I can or cannot do it, it's definitely the best feeling in the world.
That's amazing. She mentioned she used to be hot in her 20s, but now she's wiser at 30. Let me break it down for you. Any woman who says my 20s were fun and amazing are women who's had multiple partners hopping from guys to guys. They're women who's used to chase bad guys knowing they wanted nothing serious. And a woman who's in her 30 isn't necessarily a failure, it's just not a successful man's first choice. The fact is, as women age, some of them become less pleasant to be around and really hard to deal with. And it's really because of their attitude and demeanor. It's just a turn-off to men. It's like they've lost that feminine side they once had when they were younger.
I'm not convinced that being pretty is even worth it. And I'm not just talking about like average pretty, I'm talking about exceptional beauty, noticeably more attractive than everyone else around you. Because while yes, you do have certain opportunities available to you that other people just aren't going to have, you never know if people like you or if they like you. You know what I mean? And that's probably a pretty sad experience to live in. And I am someone who gets deeply insecure when I see people that are just like way hotter than me. But then I remind myself, I don't know if it's worth it.
I've reached my breaking point of having to do this life thing alone. I just want to be held, nurtured, loved, cared for, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, in all aspects. I want my heart and soul to be seen and held. I just can't do it alone anymore, and I'm at my breaking point. I can do it physically alone. I've been doing it, but I don't want to. I don't deserve to, because I am worthy of companionship, of community, of love, of affection, of support, of someone lifting me up, motivating me, encouraging me. I am worthy of that, so I deserve to receive that. I don't want to do it alone anymore, and I've been crying all day because of it.
This is what happens when the boss babe, independent woman lifestyle isn't working. But this comes down to knowing how to pick a good man. Because there's plenty of good men out there, they're just not her type. A lot of women ignore the man who would be happy to hold them down, to chase the Chad who brings temporary excitement. They look past the guy who would treat them with respect, commit to them fully, and be there through life's ups and downs. Instead, they focus on the thrill of the guy who only shows up when it's convenient for him, the one who's exciting in the short term but unreliable in the long run.
I thought being in your early 20s was supposed to be fun. I see all these having so much fucking fun. I am miserable. Miserable. To my core, miserable. What the fuck? This shit sucks. I'm suing whoever told me that this was supposed to be the most fun time in my life, because it is not.
I just saw a video saying that attractive people are more isolated and lonely. And I just want to say, that makes so much more sense now. The reason I'm single and have no friends is just because people are so intimidated to talk to me because I'm so attractive.
I generally think single, sad cat lady is just a stereotype that created by men. Because in my experience, I haven't met any ladies with cat who is sad, because cat can bring them nothing but happiness in their life.
My cat is the love of my life. I'm married, and my cats make me happier than my husband. It's not a stereotype at all. It's just their last resort. It's them coping with their reality by getting a cat, because men just aren't interested in them anymore. It goes like this. Because these women aren't wanted, they have to find something to keep them content, or else they risk feeling empty or even losing themselves in loneliness. They end up investing in companionship that fills a void left by relationships that never materialized. I mean, think about it. One woman calls her cat the love of her life, while another says her cat makes her happier than her husband. Imagine being the man who takes care of her, paying the rent, providing a home, and supporting her, only to hear that her cat brings her more happiness than he does. What a joke. I'm actually more concerned for the cat at this point.
I don't want to be fixed up. I don't want a boyfriend. I'm young. It's fine. I'm 23. I don't need a man. I'm good.
I don't want a monogamous relationship right now, which makes me feel weird. And I kind of think we need to normalize enjoying singledom in your 30s and above. And also prioritizing other things above that part of your life.
I think there's a tendency to tell women oh, it's just because you can't find anyone or something. I'm if I wanted to, I'm pretty sure I could find someone to be in a relationship.
I'm going on a date tomorrow for the trillionth time, because that's part of life when you're single for 9 years now. And I was just thinking how nice must it be to experience going on dates with someone you're actually in a relationship with, where you can actually enjoy the activity, the place, the time, instead of every time you're on a date, it's, does this guy even like me? Don't drink too much. Don't say that. Am I ever going to see him again? It must be nice to go on dates that aren't like that.
Yeah, this is insane. This woman is the issue. Going on a trillion dates and still being single after 9 years. That says a lot about her character. All she's really doing is racking up body counts. It's a clear indicator that she's either incredibly picky, unable to commit, or chasing after men who aren't serious about her. When someone is single for that long, despite having countless opportunities, it points to a deeper problem in how they approach relationships. It's not about bad luck at that point. It's about the choices they're making, the standards they set, or even the attitude they bring to each date. If someone has been on endless dates but hasn't been able to build a lasting connection, it often means they're either constantly looking for flaws, have unrealistic expectations, or simply don't know what they want.
Just because I'm 30 and like haven't found my partner doesn't mean I need to like that I'm done for. Like she's like, everyone just tells you like you're being too picky, like you're being this, you're being that, and it's like that's not true. Like she's like, I'm just not settling.
Exactly.
Like it needs to be normalized to not settle.
Agree. I feel like I've been chronically lonely since like 2020. I'm just gonna be honest, I feel like I lost a huge chunk of myself during the time. I want to be more open and honest about it because I feel like I talk about stupid shit a lot. But I feel like loneliness is a topic that I don't hear a lot about, and I know a lot of us are dealing with it.
Don't get me wrong, I love being single, but the worst part for me of being single is when you have a bad day and you come home from work and you come home to your empty apartment and you walk in and it's really dark, all the lights are off, and it's also really quiet, and you're the only person there. And you just kind of realize how alone you actually are. And then you just sit down on your couch and you realize like, wow, I'm the only one who lives here. There's nobody here to give me a hug or comfort me or to listen to how my day went. So that's the thing I miss about relationships the most, is that there's no emotional intimacy when you're single. You don't really have like a person or your person. Sure, you can text all your friends, but they're probably going to respond in 1 to 2, 3 business days. And by then you'll probably be over it. So yeah, it just sucks on the really bad days or when you're sick. I know when I'm sick, I spend a hell of a lot of money on DoorDash because I deadass cannot drag myself out of my apartment to go to CVS when I'm sick like a dog. I feel like it's too much of a burden to ask my friends to deliver medications for me. It's just like when you have those really bad days, just reemphasize that, damn, I really am all alone in this world, all by myself.
What she just described is how these so-called single by choice women feel when they come home to an empty house after a long day at work. But of course, they would never admit to it. They would never admit that they crave that intimacy or miss that physical closeness, because it would prove that men are right all along about them putting up a facade. These women often project an image of empowerment, insisting that being single is a choice rather than a result of circumstances. Yet, when the day is done and they're alone, the truth can hit hard. They might feel lonely and long for a partner who understands them, but admitting this would challenge the narrative they've built and expose them to judgment. Deep down, they know they want that comfort, someone to be there for them, someone to support them in their hardest. But they rather play the tough card instead, and at the same time, while dying inside of loneliness.
If you guys are single, I hope that you can relate to how I'm feeling today. I've been feeling a bit down today, and I've been trying to figure out why. I think it has to do with being single at 30, and when you're this age, especially like when you grew up in the South like me and people are getting married at like age 24, 27, all the time. It starts to feel like sometimes you're watching people just move forward with their lives and you're still kind of standing still. I definitely think in a lot of ways being single is a privilege. I've made videos on it. There are so many things that I love about being single, but in the same way that being single is a privilege, there's also a privilege to being in a relationship. One of those things being that you have somebody on a daily basis to support you, to talk to, that you also get to do these new milestones like moving in together, getting a place, like maybe buying a home, like if you live somewhere besides New York. Whereas those things like, getting married are not things that you can do on your own. I think it's hard when you get to the point where you want a relationship, but you don't have good prospects for it. And, dating has not been a very encouraging process. It's actually made me question more if it's going to happen for me in the future. So I'm just starting to feel a little bit like everyone is paired up and a lot of people I know are paired up. And then it's just me and the world. So I feel like this is another one of those videos where it's I'm talking about how I feel because that's how I feel and I'm always going to keep it real with you guys, but I don't have a solution. I hope that somebody can relate to this.
Women who get to 30 and still aren't married or don't have any children often didn't have their priorities straight in their 20s. And there's many reasons for that. Women who want to be boss babes or strong independent women, etc. But in this woman's case, she feels down because everyone around her is getting married and having kids, and that kind of reality really weigh on her. It's a tough pill to swallow, but that's just what happens when you prolong the process of starting a family. A lot of times when they get to that point, they just decide to freeze their eggs instead.
I realized recently that I love being single, and the only reason that I wouldn't want to be single is because I want to have a family and a father for my kids. My therapist asked me once what I was looking for, and I said, well, if I had to choose between having a husband and having kids, I'd have kids. And she was like, well, why is it an either or? Why do you have to choose between the two? Don't you want both? And I literally was thinking about it, and I was like, I want to have kids, I want to be happy, and then third on the list is I would like a husband. That would be fulfilling. But I'd rather have a good father for my kids than a good husband if I can only have one. And this was a really big eye-opening moment for me because it was a time in which I realized a couple days ago when I was getting martini with a friend that I actually genuinely do like being single. And if it weren't for kids, I'd be fine being single for the next 20, 30 years and like dating. And weirdly, I'm jealous of my friends who had like 2 or 3 kids in their 20s, though I'm sure that was really difficult, and have since divorced those people and now have kids and are just like freely dating with 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. And I'm sure there are definitely really difficult things that they're going through with that process. But anyways, the point I got to was I really like being single. So maybe a sperm donor is in my future, or adoption. I froze my eggs. Who knows what's next?
By the way, this woman is lying. She definitely craves a husband. She was the same woman who was willing to pay $5,000 to find a partner.
Hi, my name's Eve. I'm 35 years old. I'm 5'10", and I'm looking for a husband. Catch that. I'll pay $5,000 if you find me my husband.
Now, she's saying she's content with being single because she's accepted her reality of being unable to find one. This is simply a coping mechanism. It's not uncommon for people to change their narratives when they feel frustrated or defeated in their search for love. When someone has previously shown a strong desire for a relationship, but then shifts to claiming they're perfectly happy alone, it often indicates a deep-seated denial. This kind of dismissal of her earlier ambitions is a way to protect herself from further disappointment. Her claims of independence are likely a shield against the pain of unfulfilled desires. Deep down, she may still fantasize about a future with a loving partner, but admitting that would mean confronting her current situation, which she may find too painful to face.
Is it true that being in the wrong relationship is far better than being single?
No, absolutely not.
Because I'm hearing so many people say that they're staying in bad relationships because they don't want to be on their own.
Well, that's very troubling. Why would anyone purposefully decide to stay in a bad relationship?
Because they are afraid to be single.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case no one ever told you, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being single.
Now let me tell you, being single is so much better than being in the wrong relationship.
I absolutely agree with what they're saying, and it's truly a pleasure to focus on a good video for once.
Can we normalize that it's okay to be 30 and older and not have kids, not be married, and to be single? Can that be okay? Can that just be normal? I'm 32, and I feel like all I hear from folk is so when's it happening for you? When's your turn? I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if that's even in my path. I don't know if that's going to happen for me. And if it doesn't, can that be okay? Can that just be normal? I feel like society has placed this negative connotation on the fact that if you're single, it's a bad thing. It's this horrible negative thing. When actually I feel it's not. It shouldn't be. But why? It's just, I hate that. Oh, if you're single, then there must be something wrong with you, or something like that. But fuck, there are things wrong with me. But there's things wrong with everybody. Everybody has their shit. Everybody has their gig. Leave us single folk alone.
Sure, no problem. Let's normalize it. But let's also normalize men's preferences for not wanting to date older women, especially when they feel that these women wasted their prime years when they were younger. Men often face a lot of hate for their dating preferences, and that needs to be normalized as well. Moreover, when older women prioritize their careers or personal freedom during their prime years, they may inadvertently overlook the potential for building lasting relationships. As a result, they may find themselves in a situation where they are suddenly seeking partnership later in life, only to discover that many men are looking for different qualities in a partner at that stage. Too late.